Yo, 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 what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. To all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I'm gonna give y'all some time to tune in. Apologies for the little pushback. Apologies for the little pushback, but yeah, had to check out my sound, make sure everything was everything. Apparently, my microphone wasn't working 2 seconds ago. But I got it fixed. Got it fixed. Keith, what's going on, my guy? Lola, what's going on, baby? Serious, baby. Rudy, what's going on, man? Anita, baby. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Appreciate y'all. Just chiming in with the people real quick. First things first, y'all already know. Happy Labor Day to all. Hopefully all of y'all having a blessed and productive Monday, especially those in the city. Hopefully y'all keeping yourselves together, enjoying your festivities. Yeah, school back to be back in session for a lot of y'all now, so prepared for it. Prepared for it. But yeah, hopefully everybody done had a great time, a great weekend overall. Hopefully you were safe in all your endeavors. For those celebrating birthdays, yes, I know it's still Virgo season. May y'all keep enjoying your blessings. You know, another year, another blessing around that sun, definitely. Kailani, what's going on? Geraldine, baby. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? I had to chime in with y'all real quick. I know I've been quiet this weekend, but yeah, you know me. I don't stay quiet but for so long. But for so long, you know. Just had to chime in with y'all real quick, you know, see what's going on with the people, you know. Also got some things I wanted to discuss. Some of it is light. I'm gonna save most of this conversation for tomorrow, definitely. Some of the conversation, I'm gonna be honest with you, is they gotta deal with your health more than anything. Um, Appreciate everybody that tuned in for the conversation. I believe Friday, or was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. But appreciate everybody that tuned in. Shouts to everybody who really was taking part in the conversation. Yeah, I do know that the conversations do go great, especially when you all being a part of it, no matter how you're being a part of it. But for those that might have missed it, you can definitely catch the replay. I want to speak on a note. Wait a minute, I forgot before I go crazy. Yeah, I know, I ain't forget that. I want to speak to some of you men and women out there, especially the ones that are still younger. Uh, Looking at some things that I've seen this past weekend, I've noticed that when it comes down to our overall physiques and our features, some of us are letting ourselves go to the extremes. And I'm not going to be funny with you. Um, it's about that time that we start really considering what we eat, how much we eat, you know, things along those natures. I think that's very important right now. Not going to lie to you. Uh, Shouldn't nobody be reaching almost 300 pounds when you're not even nowhere near 6 feet. Sorry to say it that way. It's just my view and opinion on it. I feel we definitely need to start looking at how much calories we take in and how much we burn, so on and so forth. We need to. Um, for some, it's good for your health regardless because whatever might be going on with you, it could probably slow down the effects. I know for some of us, yeah, we love to munch like a motherfucker. Excuse my language. I know. You know, I'm guilty of that shit myself. But not gonna lie, the one thing I am gonna say about anything is that it's not so much as just how much you eating or what you eating. It's about being active. I mean, that's the thing. Even if it's just the early morning walks, get active. You know, it helps. The main thing, you notice that you will gain more weight when you just sitting still. But when you're keeping yourself active and you keeping yourself in motion, what's going on, Chilla? When you're keeping yourself in motion and you keep the motivation going, you'll be surprised at the results you'll get. You know. Oh, Henny, what's going on? James, what's going on, my guy? Coffee cups in the chat. I already see that. See that. But this is what I'm saying though. It's best that we sit here and actually like do ourselves a favor and not a disservice. Keep ourselves active, keep ourselves motivated as possible. You know, and, you'll see the wonders. You know, for some of y'all, you might have to start incorporating, you know, more proteins. You might have to start incorporating more zinc, more fiber. These are things that, are important. Not gonna lie to you, it's important. Didi, baby. OG Bobby, what's going on, my guy? See y'all up in here, man. See y'all up in here. But yeah, again, the main thing is you're supposed to love yourself and care for yourself. So, that's the best way you could do it right now is even if you ain't gonna be a gym fanatic, even if you ain't gonna, exercise every day, every other day should be at least some form of exercise, even if it is just walking. And besides, the walking is good for your heart. Shoot, for some, it's good for your bones. And that's important right there. You want to be able to say, I don't want to reach a certain age, and then now I got to start utilizing things to keep me balanced. And there's some people that I have seen that gave the inspiration this weekend because, shoot, some of these people, you wouldn't even think they in their 70s and 80s, and they still moving. They might be moving slower, but they still moving. They ain't using no cane, no walkers, no none of that. Cutthroat, what's going on, my guy? Locks, what's going on? What's going on? I see y'all up in here, man. I see y'all up in here. So I ain't gonna be too crazy on it. Like I said, just wanted to have something light and check in with the people. But I still do believe that a lot of y'all could be doing better than what you know. Only because, I'm adamant when it comes down to certain things. When it comes down to the people, I generally care. Especially the main ones. I got no choice but to care because that's how I rock. I don't do no phony shit when it comes down to good people, you know. But yeah, there's some people who it gave some inspiration this weekend. Some gave me the inspiration to talk about this shit today. You know. But again, y'all got to start keeping yourselves active. The more y'all prolong that, or the more y'all sit on the couches, or the more you just sit around not doing nothing. Even if you're in a park, shoot, motivate, walk around, do something. Like I said, main thing you should remember is that look, your heart, your heart definitely got to be in the best condition. And there's a lot of things that you're gonna have to start doing if you want to keep that heart strong. Like when some of y'all do your research, you see what's important to your body. So what you think is stopping you from being your best you? It's obviously you. But care about yourself. You know, like I said, should be no reason you're pushing almost 300, 350, and you're not even 6 feet. I can see you being over 300 weight limit if you over 6 feet. How you think most of them niggas play football? How you think some of them is playing basketball? I get all of that. But you want to make sure, even if you are reaching that weight, you want to at least keep some of that excess body fat and extra weight trimmed down. I know people right now that you wouldn't even believe they 250, 300, and they my height. But that's because they know how to carry themselves. Like I said, they don't go above and beyond. And again, when you keeping yourself active, keeping yourself motivated, you're gonna reach what you need to reach. And it's really a good thing when you think about it. Because again, you want to be here for as long as possible. And don't get me wrong, yes, I've seen the healthiest of people go on to the good side, if you want to call it that. Went on to the good side of things. But again, while you are here, if you feel like that's the thing that's keeping you grounded, if you feel like you could definitely try to trim certain things down, by all means, do what you got to do. Not gonna lie, I've seen a little bit of change in myself to some degree when I'm really looking at it. Had some people telling me it looked like I lost hella weight. Kind of did, but I ain't lose major weight. I still got some weight to trim down my damn self. But main thing is, certain days, I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to notice certain days when it's too hot, it also helps you burn them calories. But you want to make sure you doing the ample things to keep yourself in order. Prime example, if you are going to be out in the heat, exercising or getting into any type of activities, you always know to keep yourself some water, keep yourself hydrated at all costs. I think that's important. Again, keeping your body hydrated, making sure you're getting all the proper things that you need while you out there, because you definitely don't want to pass out just from trying to do what you got to do for your body. Even if you're working at home, because some people have been working out in the house. Make sure you keep at least a half a gallon to a gallon of water, especially if you know you're going to be trying to do a little bit more than what you're accustomed to doing. Keep yourself in motion as always. You know, but don't overwork yourself. That's another thing. Body definitely needs the proper rest. Know that part. So you know, like I said, you just gotta give your body a balance. Just like anything good in life, you need that balance. So, like I said, it's just when you look at certain things from a outside perspective, you start to notice these things. Start to notice that at the end of the day, you are you know you are your own worst enemy. Only if you decide to let you be your own worst enemy. For some of y'all, you refusing to get out and go do things, or you refusing to keep yourself active. That right there in itself says something. If you're not trying to hit the treadmills, shoot, for some people, if you out there where you near the racetracks and man, listen, walk around the trails, do things like that. Shoot, what's going on, my guy? Those that just tuned in, make sure y'all hit that like button. There's multiple ways for a lot of y'all to trim down and lose what you feel you need to lose, or whatever goals you might have. Now, for some that's gaining weight for good reasons, yeah, I know, and it's going to take you a little second to try to build up what you got to build up. But you make sure you use the proper things. In particular, make sure it's all natural to bulk yourself up. Lara, what's going on? I see you up in here. Appreciate you for dropping those links, serious baby. Working hard in this damn traffic light, baby. If y'all hear me out and about, you know why. It's almost about that time to hit the plantation, but I felt like I had to come in and chime in with the people. Again, your health is more important than anything. Your health is your wealth. Even if you ain't taking yourselves to doctors, cool. Guess what? I can't tell you what to do. But what I can tell you is make sure you just getting proper nutrition for your body. Make sure you're not overdoing it. Not saying you shouldn't spoil yourself from time to time, but then there's other times you just gotta chill out. For some people, you might have to change certain foods in your diet and watch what changes come. It's all up to you and how you decide to do it, right? Don't make these costly mistakes, because for some of y'all, getting too big for yourselves, and in the same token, guess what? Gonna mess around and have all sorts of problems. Prime example: you under a certain height, but you reaching that 300-pound limit, or you gonna feel that pain in your legs. You're gonna start feeling a lot of things different. Your breathing definitely gonna be off. That's something that you really don't want. You might have problems walking. And for some people who are reaching that, that's because their body ain't used to reaching that length and that width of weight. So now think about it. If you've been skinny half your life and now all of a sudden you're starting to get bigger, you know, some people age plays a factor into it. We know that. But for others, nah, it's bound to happen at some point. Especially when you're not taking care of yourself, keeping a routine going. I'll be honest with you, if you got yourself in some form of a good routine where you know you want to be active and moving every day, shit, you might not have too much of that to worry about. But again, I don't want the best for yourself. And how you gonna get the best for yourself if you ain't thinking for yourself? That's another thing. Some of y'all just gotta go with what you know. And for some of y'all, if you know the best way for you to get to a better you is doing what you have to do it. I know for some it's hard because it's all about willpower. It's all about willpower and discipline, right? Those are the two key elements, especially when it comes to that factor of everything. Dropping weight. Eh, gotta be committed to the things that you want to see happen. You know, and even if you have some form of a setback, don't worry. You'll end up getting what you need out of it. Because now you're gonna take in a valuable lesson. That valuable lesson is going to be what it is. You know, like I said, I feel like for some, you should never let too much time go past before you start keeping yourself on the up and up when it comes down to your physical health, but also your mental health. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know there's some of y'all who you ain't getting into what you're getting into because you got mental blocks going on. I'll be honest with you. And some of y'all who feel it's not worth doing it. Some of y'all who feel like you don't want to do it because that's another thing you don't want to do, but you're gonna have to do it for your better. Like I said, you don't want to be before a certain age and you're already either in a wheelchair, using the walker, cane, things along those natures that you know for a fact is gonna somewhat slow you down. Let me look in this damn chat real quick. My bad, y'all. But yeah, again, it, it depends on you and what you want. There's some of y'all that say I want to get myself in shape. Like, what's the main thing some of y'all complain about going into the summertime or before the summertime? Like, let's be real. There's some of y'all who that's the main things like you focused on. I want to drop this by a certain time, or I want to do this by a certain time. You also got to remember, metabolism and age plays a role in a lot of scenarios. There's some people who are going to drop that weight off the rip. Some people is going to take them a little bit. Some of y'all would be placed in how they would say the stubborn fat situation. But guess what? You don't stop doing what you're doing regardless. I seen some people that looked like they was ready to quit. And you know why they ain't quit? And at some point they actually started losing what they needed to lose. It's because again, you know, it wasn't about what everybody else thought and what everybody else felt. It was more on the lines of how do I feel? Where do my goals set at? Do I feel like I'm near those goals? If not, let me figure out a way where I could get there quicker. See, again, you got to reassure yourself that things will happen for the better. But it's just real life right there. You don't want to talk about I'm only 55 and you already in a worse shape. Like prime example, you don't want to be to a point where you bedridden. and can't do much. You definitely don't want to be in a situation where you feel like you are past your 80s and 90s dealing with a whole bunch of health issues. Like I said, for some of y'all, it's not hard to keep motivating yourself. The reason why I say it's not hard is because you gotta want it. Nobody else could want it for you but you. Keith, what's going on, my guy? I see y'all over here wilding out in this chat. Don't worry, I was catching all of that. But yeah, gotta think about it. You know, can't nobody else walk your road of life. You have to walk that. And for some of y'all, you'll cry and mope about why things are not happening. Guess what? There's people who didn't quit because they had the motivation and determination to keep it happening. They wasn't second guessing themselves no more. And when they looked at it, they realized when they did what they needed to do, their health became a little bit better. Or whatever was ailing them at one point, it ain't fucking with them no more. You gotta be real. Again, it's all a mental thing when it's all said and done. When it comes to certain aspects of life, it's always just a mental, you know, because you got to make that determining decision on what you're going to do for your life. And prime example, if you want the best for your life when it comes down to your physical health, you're going to have to do things you might not want to have to, but it's important because at least this way you'll know where to start from. And for some people, you already know where to start from because if you was following a pattern of certain bad habits, that can contribute to what's going on with you. So, it's things that you need to think about. Like I said, if it's with your heart, if you already had heart issues or some form of heart problems, that's the one thing you should always want to check more than anything. You got to be able to keep yourself in the, in the best of shapes when it comes to that. And I would say again, when it comes to certain issues that we know for a fact are the issues that could take us up out of here, make sure we good. You know, I hear you, Geraldine. I mean, that's what I'm saying because some of y'all that work in this field, y'all see shit from day to day, every day on what's going on. So, for some of y'all, I know this is why some of y'all doing what you're doing now. Some of y'all are moving, and even for those that's not in the field, we done had the ones that's not in the field. We done lost friends and family of all ages because of certain scenarios. It's the truth. Like I said, prime example. You don't want to have an issue with your heart, and you could have avoided it. It's not so much just going to the doctors, and I'm gonna say that it's not so much just going to the doctors. It's just making sure if you have to do something for your better, do it. Doesn't matter how hard it may be. You want to be here longer, or you want to avoid certain scenarios. Shit, think about yourself. Like I said, love yourself, respect yourself. My bad, y'all. But, just something that need to be coming out today. Like I said, this weekend has been a very interesting weekend because gave me all the motivation, y'all. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Oh shit, no matter. I ain't worried about it. There we go. But that's what I'm saying. I think about that, y'all. My bad. You had to think about it. When it's all said and done, you know, who drives the ship when it comes to you? Because if you're allowing anybody else to, good luck. Like I was saying the other day, I know like prime example is some things we really don't like, but we don't have to do. Like even down to what we put in our bodies as far as the fruits and vegetables and the nutrients that's concerned. Oh, trust me, there's some things I hate. I ain't worried about it. I ain't monetized anyway, so I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about that sucker. But yeah, you gotta think about that. 1 second, hold on. Yeah, my fault, y'all. I also had to mute y'all to bump into my cousin shit. My bad, y'all. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, when it's all said and done, it's it's about pushing yourself to good limits, pushing yourself to where you know you got this regardless to what. My bad, y'all. Sometimes the holiday weekends bring out a lot, bring out a lot. So yeah, but yeah, what's more important to you? You know, being here a little longer, or shoot, being in the hospital bed quick, or not being here at all. And like I said, it's not just going to the doctors. It's doing what's necessary for your body. So, prime example, if you gotta eliminate salt, eliminate that shit. Find a substitute. There's different ways to get flavor out of whatever you trying to make or whatever you trying to put in your body. For some of y'all, you might have to cut out on eating too much of the red meat. You know, like I said, everybody's bodies is different. What might be affecting your body ain't affecting somebody else's body. I know we supposed to have limitations on the things that we do eat, things that we consume. But again, that's important. It's very important to again just give yourself a balance. Like for some, y'all love to eat out every night. Sometimes, like I said before, you're gonna have to just cook a good home cooked meal, or shoot, do some food prep for the week for the house. Best way to do it. For some of y'all, marinate chicken and do whatever it is you're gonna do for the week. This way you ain't gotta like. It's a difference if you know you're gonna be too tired. You ain't gonna want to do much. All right, cool. I'll order out here and there. But every other night, you should be eating something home cooked. And for some of y'all, if you already grown your own fruits and vegetables, that's the best way to start. How you doing it? Again, at some point, for some of y'all, you gotta realize that um, it's not a game no more. For some people, they crying and moping about certain scenarios or issues that are going on with them. But again, some of that is your fault. I can tell you from experience. Since I dropped, trust me, since I dropped all the weight I dropped to a degree, my legs don't feel as bad. Because trust me, at one point I was near the 300. So I can tell you from experience. There's too much weight on you. Unless you keeping yourself active. It's a difference when you keeping yourself active and when you just ain't doing nothing. I know sometimes in the winter we don't want to do much. We want to try to stay in and stay warm. Cool. But in the same token, shoot. Regardless to what, look here. We're gonna have to do what we gotta do and keep active. It's the only way it's gonna work. It's the only way anything is gonna work, to be honest with you. But when it comes down to the winter, shoot, bundle yourself up correctly. I done seen people out here jogging like a mug during the winter, even on the coldest day. Why? It's about having that routine and that dedication. If you can't run a jog, like I said, walking to do just as fine. At least until you're able to get back to that point of running and jogging. I know for some people, y'all done had previous injuries or injuries around your time frame, and for some, you might have healed right. For others, didn't completely heal right. You know, it's like I said, it's a multitude of different ways to help yourself out. Except blue vegan jelly beans. What the hell? Hold on a second. James, don't start no madness, man. Shoot, I believe she's live right now. I think I just got a notification. But yeah, it's the truth. You have to at some point just remember it's about you. You know, see, like prime example. If some of y'all could sit here and honestly worry about everybody's views and opinions about you, and you willing to do whatever, and I'm speaking of those who always seem to be crashing out. Hey, I gotta be said. There's no way in the hell you can tell me you more focused and worry about everybody else, and you willing to do whatever just to appease everybody else. But you won't do that same thing for yourself without no negative, no nothing. You won't positively reaffirm yourself and get yourself right. It seems like for some of y'all to do certain things, for some of y'all, I'm not gonna lie. It's like y'all get pushed in the wrong direction. If you want to lose weight, if you want to trim yourself down, do whatever, and do it the right way and do it the proper way. That's all I'm saying. I mean, let's keep it real. Some of y'all were quick to get yourselves together and spruced up because your friends told you to do something or your people told you to do something, right? But you won't motivate yourself. Sometimes you don't always need but the self motivation. Anybody could motivate you, yes. But in the same token, who gonna initially have to make the run? Who initially gonna have to do the groundwork? It's you. I can have a million people hype me up about losing weight, going to the gym, and doing all this extra stuff, right? But it's still up to me to make that decision if I'm going to do it or not. So again, some of y'all make sure you're doing these things for the right reasons, and if you're going to stick to what you're sticking to, not saying you can't have a cheat here and there, but don't let it get to a point where you throw yourself on track. Something that you don't need for real. You know? That's what it is. Like I said, it's it's critical now. Like I said, some of y'all will be quick to do something for somebody else before you do it for yourself. Not cool. Not cool at all. But I'll be honest with you, like I said, who writes the book when it comes down to your life? Who writes the book? You know? Yeah, everybody can have a part of that book, but again, it's your book. So, like I said, if you are going to change your overall balance, it starts from the little things. Like for some of y'all, again, you just lack patience. That's another thing with some of y'all. You lack patience. When you're not patient in the process, you'll notice that things ain't gonna go as smooth as you think. It won't. Bitch, yo, 20. My bad, I had to get from under this train. Shit. But yeah, you know, it's really just a matter of the mind, you know, and it should be mind over matter for real. Because what's the matter? Whatever issue you might feel is the matter. Better put your mind to it so you can get over that hump. So, like I said, I didn't really notice it and paid no mind, but when I looked again, I looked and said, "Oh, okay." See, I've been following some form of a routine, but in the same token, I'm doing the same routine I do damn near every day. At some point during the day, I'm on the go. I'm gonna rest and do all I need to do, but in the same token, I got to get moving. I don't believe in sitting still, but for so long, and that's on that level for real. Like I said, even down to taking the normal walk. If you can't jog no more, you can't do whatever. Still push yourself to do something. I think that's important for y'all to just always give yourself the extra assurance. You know, having a strong mind and a confident mind. Shoot, you can get a lot of things done. Yeah, we're gonna go through some trial and error in life. We go through trials and errors every day that we are still able and blessed to breathe. That's what people fail to realize. That's just like a lesson that's being learned every day, regardless to how you may feel about it. It is. For some of y'all, the lesson should just be that simple. You know what? I noticed that I'm starting to have these issues. Let me do what I need to do. Let me see what's going to work for me, and then I move from there. So for some of y'all, if doing the active walking and even taking yourselves to the gym is working, keep doing. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Now, unless there's certain days where you really can't get to doing it, hey, got 30 minutes in your house, take that time even then. Do something. It works. Really start getting down to the basics. For some people, shoot, it wasn't no gym. What you think your gym was? Your house. When the gym is closed, what you gonna do? When certain areas are closed, what are you gonna do? So like I said, that plays an important part. It plays an important part. I think for some of y'all, for real, it's about that time. You really love and respect yourself, and you give a damn about things. Do what you need to, and do what's necessary for the better. And for some of y'all, I'm not gonna lie, trying to lose some of that weight is the best thing for a lot of y'all to do. Like I said, it's gonna be some things you are gonna have to change, but gonna have to change it for the better. So if you was having breathing issues when it came to certain scenarios, if you change whatever dynamics you might have to change for the better, you'll see a difference. I know for some people it ain't gonna be easy. I know some of y'all again deal with asthma and everything else. So but again, don't limit yourself, but don't overwork yourself. That's the most important factor on anything. You know, don't overwork yourself. Give yourself a good balance when you're doing that, and you get back to what you're getting to. You know, like prime example. That's like if you working out, you can't just work out on your legs for a whole week straight. Not unless that's something you have to do. But you know, you give yourself a balance. Do some uppers, you know, some sit ups, push ups, chin ups, all of that. You know, get it going. I'm bad, y'all. Yeah. Yeah. No, I had to walk past this again. But yeah, you know, to be quite honest with you, you know, when you do what's necessary for your body, trust me, you'll see all the benefits coming back to you. You know, like for some of y'all, if you was too tired, you won't be tired as much if you're doing what's necessary. That's important. Like I said, even if you ain't a gym fanatic, even if you ain't in there as much, still get out and do something. Getting that good fresh air helps a lot too. You know, for some people, we know where the mental stress is coming from. Mental stress is coming from you being cooped up. At least for some of y'all, you being cooped up, not getting out to get some form of air. My bad. Hold on. Yeah, well, my bad. Kind of active. Kind of active. Let me get a one in the chat if you can hear me. Let me get a one in the chat if you can hear me. Definitely need a one. Yeah, walk past a little bit of everything. But, all right, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, I was having an issue earlier. That's why I pushed it back 10 minutes. But yeah, just wanted to do something light tonight. Like I said, check in with the people. But I wanted to let that be known too for some of y'all. Again, it's important to, you know, try to do as much as possible. If you have a certain goal you want to reach, don't overdo it. You know, just give yourself a complete perfect balance. And that complete balance literally starts with how you feel about yourself. If you feel awesome, then you continue to do awesome things. Feel great, continue to do great things. Again, give yourself that motivation. Give yourself the respect that you deserve. Should never be a problem with wanting to see the best out of you. And for some of y'all, I'm not gonna lie, that weight, that being morbidly obese, things along those lines that we always speak about or come across, ain't far fetched. It's like for some of y'all, you get the message, but you're not receiving the message. So again, you know, you gotta see the best for yourself. It's great to have all the positive motivation. It's good to give yourself that encouragement as well too. But again, remember, give yourself complete balance. Because for some of y'all, you'll get angry at the results when you think it should be. When you think that is supposed to be my fault. I was trying to find out where the hell they going. Live from Nosy Nate Action News. My bad, y'all. Man, you know, again, don't rush nothing because there are things that are not going to be placed. right in and there, you'll know when it's your time. Like if this is your time to do what's necessary for yourself, you want to reshape your body, your mind, and your whole structure. Sometimes it's the best way to start. I see y'all wilding. I'm coming back and I see y'all wilding in the chat. Oh, you're having a coffee cup war. Okay, cool, cool. Hold on. I was trying to get past. But yeah, just remember this again. I'm about to get my ass up out of here for real. But I had to come in again and check in with the people. But just remember this again for future reference. For some of y'all, you might think that it's over. It ain't over until you're no longer here. So while you are here, make the best of life. Do the best you can in life. And remember this one thing as well, too. You are destined to do something great. Destined to always be better. But you gotta also remember the self-respect. That's the most important thing. Without that, you ain't gonna have that motivation throughout life. No matter what goes on in life, you gotta remember how you feel about yourself. And if you feel you're gonna change, conduct your change. No, let me see. Let me see. Yeah, yeah. You good? You good? Didn't I just had this issue with you? Like, come on, man. You know you're gonna get one out of nowhere. My bad, y'all. My bad. So shit. Again, it's solely up to you. If you want the best for yourself, then do the best for yourself. And that's by all means. I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer. But I will be back tomorrow. Oh, we heavy on the combo definitely tomorrow. So just want to chime in, make sure y'all all good. Don't worry, you know me, I'll be back tomorrow with the good conversation. Definitely will have the link pinned in case anybody want to chime in on the convo. You know, hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. Those that might just be tuning in, definitely catch this replay. Just something quick and short tonight, but hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your holiday evening. It's time for me to uh, let's go. But yeah, definitely be back tomorrow for the conversation. Like I said, the link will be pinned. And you already know. But for those in the city, I know some of y'all still out there in the parkway. Keep yourself safe. Continue to enjoy your evenings. Hey, make sure you make it home to the people you need to make it home to. But yeah, let me get my ass up out of here. Time for me to clap. But yeah, tomorrow I'll see y'all at 3 o'clock. Anybody that want to hit that link, y'all know what it is. Hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves. And yeah, still got conversations coming. Appreciate everybody that's been a part of the build, still becoming a part of the build. And y'all know, it is what it is. Gotta keep having this conversation. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna finish off with the health, definitely. Because it's something that I feel like a lot of people need to start hearing. We gotta start embedding in the people's heads. You know, in order for you to get the best results, hey, you gotta show the results. How you show the results? By just believing in yourself at all costs. Doing everything legit. Nothing wrong with that. Y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to the replay game. Shout out to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. For everybody that was in attendance tonight, y'all already know that love is love and it be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is keep it real. That's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real deals. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'll see y'all tomorrow, definitely. I see y'all running around these streets too, so don't worry. Y'all stay safe, keep that third eye open. Until next live, we out. Peace and blessings.